So for today's video, I want to dial in my picture style. Otherwise they're called picture profiles on my Sony, but for the Canon, there's a couple ways that I can shoot. Here's the thing, I don't want to spend a lot of time grading my footage, not at this stage of where I am with my YouTube career. I know it doesn't take a lot. Once you get used to shooting with log, you can come in and apply some LUTs and bing bang boom, you're done. But the reason that I bought a Canon was so that I didn't have to do that. I think the colors can look good enough pretty much right out of camera, so when I upload my footage, I can just start editing right away, and that's what I want. That's what I invested in with the Canon. In the last few videos, I've been experimenting with the ISO, experimenting with the white balance, trying to get it consistent so that it always looks the same, it always looks good. Now that I feel like I've got those settings kind of dialed in, it's time to experiment with the picture styles. So let's get into it right now. I'm gonna start at the top of the list. Here's how automatic looks. Here is standard. Here is portrait. Here is neutral. Here's monochrome. Okay, I'm not gonna use this, but I had to check it out. Looks so artsy. You've been gone a long time, Murphy. How could you show your face here again? Hey, it's none of your business, squats. I don't know you nothing. This is my custom 1 settings. This is custom settings 2. It's the same as number 1, but I just turned the color tone or the saturation down by 1. Now this will be really interesting to see when I go back into my computer and look at this footage, which one I think looks best. Based on my viewfinder and based on the viewfinder on the laptop that I'm using here, I'm actually liking this custom defined number 2. I find the skin looks good. It's saturated, but not too saturated. I like more saturation than other people seem to. Some people like that really cinematic kind of flat look. I like color, I like contrast. So I want it to be a little brighter. Now, this is not going to be my normal setting. I am going to put color in the background. So let's do that now and then go through some of these picture profiles and see if that affects anything. All right, I'm on my custom 2 settings and I put some color in the background. So now let's go through, I'm going to go through maybe the top 3 that I think look good. This is auto. This is standard. And this is neutral. Okay, I'm gonna change my background light to my old one. Boom, this guy. This is a RGB newer 660. I've switched to the 2 other ones just to get a little more fun with the color back there, but I'm gonna go back to this one just to see what a little bit more light looks like. Let's check it out. All right, how does it look with the big light back there? A little bit more light. This is kind of a pink. Got the blue and orange. These look like very warm colors. The Canon should look good, although this is in neutral settings. So let's change that over. Let's do neutral now, and then I'll try out a couple more. This is custom setting 2. This is auto. And this is standard. All right, how does this look? This is with the blue background in standard picture profile. Custom 2. And this is automatic. All right, let's go to the computer and see how it looks. One of the things I didn't talk about in today's video is log. I don't want to shoot in log. This is a very controlled environment, and I think the whole point of shooting in log is that it allows you to recover information from the highlights, to pull up things from the shadows. It's great for situations where there's a lot of light and a lot of contrast. Every time I try and use log footage in this studio, it looks like garbage. I can't get the colors working because there's not enough light. So I'm not going to compare it. I will compare it in a future video versus these picture profiles. So be sure to subscribe to the channel to check that out so you don't miss it. But for today's video, after going through all of that footage, here's my thoughts. I think standard is pretty good. What I've noticed with the Canon, and I just did some testing with my friend, he brought his Sony a7 IV over, so I'm gonna link that video once it's ready. What I noticed with the Canon and the standard profile is it's very contrasty, and I like it. The Sony is really flat. When I compared the Canon to a Sony, for example, Sony out of the camera, just without tweaking the camera too much, it's very flat. You really have to tweak things in the editing software, and I don't want to do that. When I tried editing Sony footage to make it look like Canon, it's a lot of work and it never looks quite as good. So I think the Canon profiles are really good. I think the automatic one has a little bit too much saturation. I think the standard is quite good, but after going through all of them, I'm going to use the Custom 2 moving forward as my main until something else happens. Another thing to keep in mind is these tests are for just inside. I think it's a completely different ballgame when it goes to outside, and when I'm going to be shooting B-roll throughout my house with different lighting and stuff, I might use more of a standard or maybe even C-Log at that time. But for right now, Custom 2 is where I'm at. What do you think? Do you agree with me? Do you think it's too much color? How would you shoot? Would you go neutral and then pull up color as you need it? Let me know in the comments below what you think, which ones look the best, which ones look the worst. Were you surprised at all? Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate thumbs ups on the video, and if you're able to subscribe, that would be great. I'm gonna be doing a lot of cool content when it comes to tweaking this Canon R6, comparing it versus other cameras, anything I can get my hands on. I love comparing things all day long. I have a really cool Sony a7 IV versus Canon R6 video. I'll link here when that's ready, or maybe check this one out. See you next time in the Sad Studio.